Welcome back to the 7 Points Podcast. I'm Suraj Srinivasan. I'm here with Rishi Arjun and Lakshya Jain, and we're going to be talking about the World Test Championship that just happened between New Zealand and India. Congratulations to the Kiwis, finally world champions. Rishi's background says it all. Excitement, beautiful Kiwis. Yeah, good, solid test match. I know rain and all of that sort of put a dampener on the first few days, but turned out to be a high quality test match from both sides. Bowling was beautiful, batting could have been better, but I really enjoyed that. I'm sure you guys did too. But yeah,
I think it was the highest quality test match I have seen in a long, long time. And I've seen basically every India test the last 15 years that I could watch, and a lot of others, England tests, Australia tests, and this was just on another level. Like, the quality of the teams involved here was absolutely insane, and it showed. New Zealand's bowling on the first day, first actual day of play, was to me one of the best spells of bowling you could see. They extracted so much swing out of that deck, and India played it amazingly. Any other team would have been skilled out for less than 200. Not India.
Yeah, the quality was super high. I mean, I think we knew that in these conditions, these two bowling attacks, we predicted a low scoring World Test Championship final in our preview. And I think the way both the teams bowled, any other team in those conditions, I think would have bundled off for under 150. But I think in the first innings under the captain and vice captain, Kohli and Rahane, and in New Zealand's first innings under Kane, and then later the lower order with Jameson and Southey, both teams were able to put up 200 plus scores. And this is despite brilliant bowling by all the bowlers. Pacers, Indian spinners were fantastic as well. So I thought it was a high quality match. And I think, rain, even though rain did leave this game to be very frustrating to watch as a viewer, especially because we're all Americans here, so we have to wake up at 2 a.m. to watch this game. So that definitely ruined a lot of my nights. But yeah, I was really happy with the quality of this game. It definitely was worth the final for sure. And New Zealand came back well on the final day. Bundled India out.
I think something like this, it's important to note that people give a lot of grief to the ICC for scheduling the final in England. I know Kevin Peterson had his own thoughts on Twitter, but the reality is it's tough to, mid to late June in England, that's typically a lot safer of a time to host a test match than most people think. And the pitches are such in England that you will get a result within 3 to 4 days of play. It doesn't often go to the fifth day if you have seeming, a good wicket, seeming conditions swing. They knew this was going to happen as a possibility, as an outside possibility. That's why they had the reserve day. It was a good foresight shown by them, booking an extra day at the ground. And the pitch was exactly the type of pitch that you want to see for a final like this. It had a lot going in it for the bowlers, but it wasn't impossible to bat on. You just have to sit down, buckle down, and apply yourself. And that's what the batting lineups did. And they did a really good job.
Yeah. I mean, with it raining also means cloudy conditions mean the ball will be for a long time. So it was never going to really be a draw, unless the only way it would have been a draw is if India had batted for a bit longer on the last day. But the New Zealand bowling was top class
there is no batting lineup in the world I think would have lasted much longer against this New Zealand bowling lineup. Let's actually talk a little bit about that. So Kyle Jamieson, I think.
Let's start off with Kyle Jamieson, because man of the match, 7 wickets, crucial 20 runs as well. We should sort of talk. This is only his second overseas test match, but he's been absolutely brilliant. And not just this match, the entire World Test Championship. Only 7 test matches, 5 5-wicket hauls, and he got 7 wickets in this match. Got Kohli twice, got Pujara, got Rahane, got plenty of big wickets in this test match. And rightfully named man of the match here. What did you guys think about him? What makes him stand out ahead of all the other quality New Zealand bowlers, ahead of Southey, Bold, Wagner? What makes him stand separately from him?
I mean, I think we all know it's his ability to pitch the ball up even at length. So just purely his height helped in this case as well. We saw that pace was predominant. I know Ashwin did take a couple of wickets, 4 wickets in total. But pace seemed to be taking the wickets, and it proved to be the better strategy, especially with New Zealand bringing in all pacers and no spinners. I think Jamieson brought in that difference into the New Zealand lineup. You have those typical swing bowlers, as we mentioned in the preview, and yeah, it was just that difference that helped of height and his ability to pitch the ball up.
It's not just height though. Jamison has this ability. So I think Jared Kimber noted it down in Crick Info, but when we measure speeds, bowling speeds, a lot of people mention speed as the way it's tracked is the release speed, the speed at which it comes out of the hand. When you're taller though, the ball tends to float a little bit, right? Because it has more of a distance to travel, right? It's basic geometry. Jamison, this is often why you see a lot of tall fast bowlers not pitch the ball up as much, because it's frankly a 6'6" guy pitching the ball up at full length is a very different proposition from a 5'10" guy bowling at full length. The entire trajectory is different. You don't have as much time to react with a 5'10" guy. And so you see a lot of these 6'5", 6'6" guys pitching shorter of a length and having it rear up and get wickets that way. These guys aren't dumb, right? They know how to bowl and they know exactly why it doesn't work. The thing with Kyle Jamison that's interesting is when he pitches the ball up, but he also extracts copious amounts of swing. And when he does that, it negates he does it at good pace, 135, 140 clicks. When he does that, what ends up happening is that floater nature of tall bowlers who bowl full length, right? That tends to get negated a bit because now you've got to negotiate swing. And then when it bounces, it rears up just a little. So you've got to figure that out as well. And Jamison knows the lengths to bowl, and he knows how to take advantage of his height to A, extract the bounce that he wants, while B, getting a lot of swing out of it and making life very, very difficult for the batsman. There's one thing that's more difficult to play than a ball pitched at good or full length that's swinging quite a bit. And that's a ball pitched at good or full length swinging quite a bit that rears up to hit your glove.
Yeah, I think the bounce factor, Jameson's a little overrated. I don't think the Indian batsmen actually struggle with the bounce. It's the fact that he was moving the ball both ways without too much difference in his action. Saudi also did this absolutely brilliantly. His spell to Rohit on the final morning of the penultimate
That was beautiful to watch.
That was absolutely right. Rohit couldn't do much. He was brilliant in the test match as well, batting wise. But the thing with, like, if you looked at a lot of dismissals, like if you see Rohit's dismissal in the first innings, Pant's dismissal in the first innings, Pujara's, none of the batsmen, they weren't really. It's not like they were stuck in that in between length foot movement. They were on the front foot. It's just that once they're expected, Kohli expected the ball to come in the first innings. Second innings, the ball went away when he was expecting it to come in. They just didn't know which way the ball was moving in. They didn't really see the bounce. Yes, it's a factor, but it's not that the bounce was getting them out. It was just the sideways movement, and which is also why Saudi picked up plenty of wickets in this match.
Well, I think it's also the fact that Kohli, for example, LBW in the first innings from Jamison, he was wary of the fact that he expected a shorter ball as well. It wasn't necessarily that he was expecting a ball going away. He had to be careful of I think it wasn't necessarily Jamison, it was also Saudi, where there was a ball where he bowled a bouncer and it hit him up here and it hit him on the helmet on the logo. If you remember that. I think all of the factors where Saudi, you don't expect that bouncer to come in, and for Jamison, you're expecting a higher ball that's challenging the bat. I think having to pay attention to all of these things and New Zealand bowlers having multiple ways to attack a batsman, it just all added up and eventually led to the wicket in my mind. That's what I see.
I don't know about that. I've seen Kohli get dismissed like that to Vernon Philander, who's probably 5'9".
Sure, but I mean, you also have
it's a very common plan in these conditions: outswing, outswing, get the front
draw
pad
the batsman out,
and then you get the in-swinger. That's how
Jamison. That's the thing with Jamison. As I mentioned, he makes life difficult for the batsman with his bounce, but it is not the deciding factor. The deciding factor is that he makes it so that it's very difficult to read how he's going to swing the ball. You just know that he's going to swing it a lot. And a 6'6" guy swinging the ball that much is really difficult because you're not used to bowlers at that height swinging it to that degree. And it changes the angle at which you have to approach it. It makes things all wobbly in the batsman's mind. And then on top of that, you've also got to figure out how the ball is going to bounce so you don't actually have it hitting your glove and popping up. And that just adds in so much uncertainty to the batsman because, Jameson, I always joke that Jameson bowls a little bit like James Anderson in a frame like Curtly Ambrose's. He's not going to beat you. He's not going to beat you with express pace. That's not who he is.
He's not quick at all.
Yeah. He bowls max 140, 145 if he's really cranking it up, but he doesn't hit that heavy pace threshold. What he really does is he bowls at a consistent 135, 138 clicks an hour, and he just goes from there. He just uses his swing, and he's a very intelligent bowler.
Yeah.
But on the topic of swing, let's talk about Tim Southee a little, because that was some unbelievable bowling to Rohit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's not much to say. He's been doing this whole World Test Championship final. He's averaging 20 in this championship, and he's been doing this. He's very good at the 3/4 seam ball. I know the commentators went to this a lot. It's very difficult to pick up that 3/4 seam ball because it looks like a genuine outswinger when it comes out of the hand to the batsman, but then it comes in late because you're only showing 3/4 of the seam, and then it ends up coming in off the pitch. And yeah, that's what got Rohit. That was very unlucky. He was set up by 4 or 5 balls going away. And yeah, Southee, he was a bit off in the first innings, I felt. When Rohit and Gale were out, had a good partnership. They got a lot of runs off Southee. But in the second innings, he really came into fray. Finished off the tail and got the wickets of Rohit and Gale on that morning, which basically it put India at a disadvantage going in onto the final day, not having a set Rohit or a set Gale. And they had two basically new batsmen in Pujara and Kohli, which allowed Jameson to pounce on them in the morning. And I thought, both of them, they were probably the two best bowlers off this for New Zealand in this match. And yeah, Southee was brilliant. And with a bat too. I mean, he was also the key difference in New Zealand getting that lead. We talked so much about India's inability to wipe out the tail and their own tail's inability to bat. And that proved to be the difference because both innings, India's tail probably scored max 10, 15 runs, while New Zealand's tail was able to get them from a 20-run deficit to a 30-run lead, which was led by Southee.
So look at another bowler, Wagner. We all know his effort, the amount of effort that he puts into every ball that he bowls. You can see it in his face when he's delivering the ball. But I think he played the role that he's meant to be playing. But I think he also wanted to kind of show off that he's more than just that bouncer specialist. Right. So he was trying to bowl on length and try and swing the ball more and show that he can do more than that.
I mean,
how effective do you think he was?
I mean, he showed how good he was in that second test against England, right? That final spell that basically destroyed England for 100 all out. We know how good Wagner is, and when you have 3 other seam and swing bowlers, he's allowed to do the role he does so well. He has done so well in the last 5-6 years, and I think his dismissal of Rahane in the first innings was very crucial. Rahane was on 49, batting confident against a seam ball, and it was honestly a very, very terrible piece of cricket from him to get out to a short ball right after Wagner indicated the plan. But that's the thing with Wagner. He doesn't get tired and he keeps bowling that. But yeah, it was great bowling from him. All the New Zealand bowlers are on, all 4 of them. I think maybe that could have been the difference, right? India had Shami, Ishant, Ashwin, and Jadeja too were very good, but Bumrah had probably one of his worst test matches. And was I think it's the first time he's ever not picked up a wicket in a test match. So he was very ineffective in both innings. Just seemed to be a little bit down on pace and wasn't getting that same movement that the other Indian pace bowlers were going. Which leads into the next part of the convo. A lot of the debate in our preview was, should India go 3-2 with pace spin? Should New Zealand go 5-0 or 4-1? New Zealand went 5-0 and India went 3-2. The model seemed to be very simple. Both teams want to stick to their strength and pick their 5 best bowlers. And a lot of people are saying India got this wrong.
I don't think so. I really don't think they got this wrong. Here's the thing.
Considering Ashwin was the best bowler in the second innings.
I don't think either team got this wrong. India are getting a lot of grief online for their tactics here. But in my opinion, what happened is actually quite simple. There was one session where they really got outplayed heavily. And as a result, the best team in the match won. But these are games won and lost in incredibly thin margins. If India score 40 runs more in the second innings, we could be, and Pujara takes that catch off Ross Taylor, we could be looking at a very different game. And obviously, we live in a world of what is and not what if. But the point remains, you can't look at India's bowling and say, oh, they lost the test because of their bowling. That's just not true. You can't look at their batting and say, oh, they batted absolutely horribly. New Zealand bowled amazingly. This is one of those things where I don't think you can truly blame a side for losing a game. There are things to improve on for India, of course. They need to sort out what Pujara is doing at number 3 because he isn't scoring runs lately. They need to figure out, is Rahane still the long-term answer at number 5, or do they want to start moving on? But all things said and done, those are longer-term questions.
I think the long-term issues that have been affecting India in overseas conditions, especially in England, South Africa, and New Zealand, came and hit them hard this test match. That inability to knock out the tail, that cost them a 30-run deficit. Their best bowlers, pace bowlers, cannot bat. It's hard to teach bowlers how to bat properly, but their own
right
not knock out the New Zealand tail.
But these are longer term issues. These are not issues that could have been rectified with picking a different team or changing your approach in the match.
I don't think the teams could have been changed because first off, India doesn't have the option of a fourth pacer because then it just elongates the tail. And if you bring and Jadeja is probably better than any of the backup batsmen India has in batting quality anyway. So
and you're not going to drop Mohammad Shami for Washington Sundar Shardul Thakur. That's not happening.
I mean, no, I'm not. Nobody's saying to drop the pace bowlers. They're saying
exactly.
Add a pace. No, the questions were either add another batsman for a spinner or add another pacer for a spinner.
Right, exactly. And I think my point is just like, at some point you've got to accept this is your best team. It's got you this far. It's a very good team. You've got some longer term issues you need to sort, but those aren't things you can figure out in this test match alone.
Yeah, but I think it's fair to say that issues that have all the games India have lost overseas, it has involved the tailenders thwarting India from getting a proper lead in the first innings. I'm pretty sure if we look at a lot of the test matches they lost, especially in 2018 period, their batsmen probably scored more runs than the other team's batsmen. It's their lower order problems that are continuing to affect them. Saudi 30 runs, Jamieson 20 runs, and then even a few boundaries for Tremble, while their own bowlers score max 5 runs. It is in these close, low-scoring matches, that does cost them 20, 30 runs. And this, considering they have a huge 5-match series against England, a team that loves to score mainly at the back end and who are going to be playing pace bowling all-rounders and Curran, Wokes, even Broad in that term, they are going to be thwarted with this issue again. And I think that's something India has, is a problem India knows they have, and it's something they have to somehow rectify. I don't know, because Boomer was off, they weren't able to really bring him on for the Yorkers, so they had to go in with a bit of line and length, which gets them success against the top order. But the tailenders can swing their bat around a little bit, they can get them a few boundaries away. But yeah, I think that was probably one crucial part. It really stalled India's momentum. They could have definitely bowled New Zealand now for 200. But yeah, I also think Pujara is a problem. I think if we really have to look at Pujara's record, since the Border Gavaskar Trophy in 2018-2019, all he has done is play those thwarting innings in Australia in the 3rd and 4th tests. But otherwise, he has not done much. He's averaging 28 in the World Test Championship. He didn't score heavily at home like he normally does, and he's not scored in seaming conditions. So I'm not including Australia in here. He didn't score in New Zealand. He hasn't scored in South Africa, and he only scored 1 innings in England. So I don't know what Pujara's role is. And yes, he's playing 100 balls consistently. I saw that he plays 100 balls very consistently, but then is that really good enough to be a number 3 for the Indian cricket team?
I think for the English cricket team, he would be perfect because he ensures Joe Root doesn't have to be a quasi opener. Well, but for the Indian cricket team,
is there. So
no, my point. My point is for the Indian cricket team, you need your number 3 scoring runs. And that's not what he's doing. And if he's not doing that, the question becomes, he's 34, 33, I think. At some point, you've got to ask, what are we really trying to do here? Are we trying to build to the future? Or are we trying to, supplement the lineup with experience or something, or what? They've got Virat Kohli here. They've got, Rohit Sharma here. They're not lacking for mentors for the batsmen or anything. can you possibly get a little bit more out of a different number 3, out of a different number 5, maybe with Rahane instead of Rahane? And I think you got to have those hard questions, because as good of a batsman as Pujara has been, he'll go down as one of the legends for the Indian Test team possibly. But you've got to start thinking maybe it's time to move on. This isn't working any longer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the age is going to be an issue because Pujara doesn't only plays one format. He's just a batsman, and now the World Test Championship is it's a 2-year cycle, so you're really going to be looking at making test teams for every 2 years. They need to now. I think after the England series might be when India starts to look at these questions. So obviously you have to look at Pujara's performance in that series, but after that they might start looking at a rebuilding phase and seeing how they can build to the next World Test Championship, because I know they'll obviously want to come and make the final again. And the thing is, with the dearth of talent India has, there's going to be plenty of players in the backup averaging 55, 60 plus in first class, and Pujara averaging 25 in Test cricket is just not good enough. And Mayank Agarwal is on the bench and he's an opener and he could easily slot in at 3 if he wants to. And
yeah, or Shubman Gill can go to 3, which I know they've discussed as possibly the long-term solution for him, because opening in England is a thankless job. No one's saying that Gill is disappointing or whatever. He's a young player, he'll be fine, but do you really want to put a player that talented with that type of front foot back foot game as an opener? And I think it's worth noting someone like Prithvi Shaw once again scoring runs, right? It's not like India are short of batsmen who can come in.
They will never be short of talent. As long as the biggest cricketing nation in the world, they'll never be short.
Exactly.
That's you have a thinner rope when you play for the Indian team. But Pujara,
exactly.
Kohli has always supported Pujara and Rahane very clearly. Whenever they're not scoring, he refuses to even acknowledge that their conversations about their selection. He said the most important batsman, but they need to start backing it up. I thought Rahane was pretty good this test in the first innings, but I think the shot he played was not worthy of a vice captain who had batted for a very long period. And then he didn't step up in this. He was unlucky in the second. He's got caught down leg, but Pujara just coming in, not really providing any momentum, and then not scoring. I know people put a lot of value on playing balls, but I think you still need to average. You still need to be averaging 40 plus at least.
Dale Steyn mentioned something interesting about Pujara. And what he mentioned was Pujara doesn't play off his back foot any longer. He plays a lot more on his front foot. He plays a lot more on his under his eyes, maybe, but off of his front foot. He doesn't have that same back foot game any longer that he used to. He doesn't play the short ball as well any longer. He doesn't rely on like square cuts, pulls as much as he was able to do. When you lack that part of your game, it changes the calculus a lot. It makes you a lot more susceptible to nicking off. And we've noticed Pujara this time nicked off the slip for the first time in 2 years, I think.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, off a pacer. It's the first time he's nicked off to slip off a pacer in over a year, at least.
Did he nick off in Australia? No, nicked off to the keeper, at least in Australia.
To the keeper, not to slips. Okay. Big difference, right? And this is the type of thing where you wonder, maybe it's a technical thing with him. Maybe he needs to fix that technical part of his game. Now, India are not going to drop him for the first test in England. Definitely not. But 2 tests in, if it's not working, I can see them starting to have a few conversations.
Yeah. If Mayank Agarwal is not in your 11, you have to have top 6 in form, because he is too high quality of a player to leave out of any test team right now.
It's funny because if any of these guys were British, Pujara, Mayank Agarwal, etc.
Oh, put them in number 3, bro. They're better.
They would be, not only they would be at number 3, but they would be number 1 worshipped by the English cricketing nation, and number 2, we would be talking about them as vice captains and not in the terms of do they deserve their spot in the team, even with these performances, because their quality is not in doubt. But unlike English cricket, we're not lacking. India is not lacking for quality batsmen.
So yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on spin? I know coming into this, a preview, we were looking at Ashwin and Jadeja having 2 spinners. That was a conversation you mentioned, but it wasn't really a turning pitch, as we know England isn't. But Ashwin's pure ability to skid the ball on and control it, I guess that's what led him to take the wickets. He did 4 wickets. But do you think that it's for like the England series, would they be playing 2 spinners still? Should they change Ashwin out or take Jadeja out, or what are their options here?
They just can't take either of them out because, okay, Ashwin is the best spinner in the world, very clearly. I don't even think that's a debate anymore. And he showed it in this test match. I mean, he just did not bowl a bad ball. right? And in test cricket, if you don't bowl a bad ball, you'll be able to keep an economy under 2. And then through that pressure, he was able to get 4 wickets as well. Jadeja is too good of a batsman now to leave out. So if you take Jadeja out, you can only take him out for a batsman. You can't if you replace him with a bowler. You're just elongating a tail India already has enough issues with. But taking Jadeja out for a batsman, the only backup middle order batsman they had in this match was Hanuma Vihari, and I think Jadeja's a better batsman than Vihari these days. So that's why I played with two spinners. But if you really look at it, Jadeja didn't bowl much. He was playing more in this game. He was playing more of a batting all rounder. So I don't think it's that fair to look at it as a force, as a 2 spinners, 3 pacers. It's more of 3 pacers, 1 spinner. Kind of like New Zealand with 4 pacers. Colin de Grandhomme didn't bowl much either, if you really look at it. So because when you're in bowler conditions, you don't need the 5th bowler usually. So it was more of picking a 5th bowler for both teams that could bat the best. And I think that's what they really went with. Ideally for India, they would have a player like Hardik Pandya in, who could bowl, who could be in top bowling form and good batting form. But obviously, with injury concerns, Hardik Pandya is not in contention, and I don't think Charlotte Thakur merits a top 7 spot as a batsman. So I don't think really it's a really complicated issue of picking 2 spinners. I think Jadeja is just that good of a batsman now, and he bowled.
I think so. I think the talk about the Indian team picking 2 spinners or whatever, this is a misnomer because Jadeja should be thought of as a batsman. He's the quality of a batsman. He has the quality of a world-class bowler too, but if you're talking about batting, he should be considered as a proper batsman and given the respect of that. He's good enough to bat at 6. He's good enough to bat at 7. He's even good enough to bat at 5 in India. So this is not a question, right? And then if the question is about Ashwin's batting, well, he's done all right for himself lately. So
right. Yeah.
Ashwin looked good in the first innings. Yeah, I mean, Ashwin's going to merit into this side as he's clearly just based on this match. Like, how beautiful was it to watch him bowl? Like, he gave India hope in that on that final day. Even though I thought it was not even close of a chase at all for New Zealand, he gave hope, especially when he thought he had Kane Williams out, and then he got Devon Conway out. It looked like he was going to get a wicket every ball. Despite the fact there was literally 0 degrees of turn. But yeah, that's what you get from being such a good bowler. And I think, yeah, I see both of them playing all the matches possible in England until one of them gets injured, which they tend to do.
Nice.
Yeah. Let's just talk.
It should be mentioned, by the way, that Ashwin is a really quality batsman too. Like, we saw this in the England test matches, right? He scored a century in a match where England were bowled out for 134 and 160 odd. And like, it wasn't an easy wicket to bat on. It's not like everyone else in India, other than Rohit Sharma, found it especially easy to bat on it.
For hell, I think Ashwin has more runs than Pujara these days. So
he does, and he offers bowling too. So
yeah, I mean, Ashwin's probably one of the best number 8s you can get. But yeah, let's talk about the World Test Championship final. Obviously, now this is the first World Test Championship. Unfortunately, the entire championship was a bit diluted because of COVID. So we had a lot of inconsistency in rules, but hopefully now we'll have a new 2-year period that goes on properly, and most nations will actually get to play each other home and away in a structured format. But what did you guys think? Do you guys enjoy this format? Do you guys think there should have been a 3-match series for the finals? Do you think New Zealand were deserved winners? Are they clearly the number 1 side in the world? What do you guys think?
I think, New Zealand totally deserves this. They fought their way through this. It was all fair. I think a 3-match series would probably be best, because if you have teams like India that usually actually end up coming back in a series, it makes a big difference, because they can learn based on their first match. So I mean, it does make a difference having a longer series, and it is a test match, and you don't ever play 1 test match. It's usually a series. So just stick to the format, I guess. But on another note,
you don't ever just play 1 ODI in a series, but you still just have an ODI World Cup final.
But here's the thing. We're not playing a series here. We're playing a final. And I don't think the final should be multiple games. And the reason I don't is, number 1, it's a final. Yeah. Your objective is, in a sense, to determine who the best team in the world is. But Ben Jones had a good point about this lately from CricViz. He said, if you're measuring the best team in the world, in a sense, rankings already do that. what you want to measure isn't just that. You want some of the entertainment, some of the excitement, some of the unpredictability, something that tells you that upsets can happen. Any team can win. That excitement that's there. And the great part about a test series is an inferior team almost never wins a test series. It
Yeah.
just doesn't happen.
You
There's
take
not
out
enough variance in test cricket.
You take out the unpredictability by having a 3-match series. You take out the art of
When you're
choking.
playing, these two teams were very even going into this,
But
so it's
But
not a
that's
matter
fine.
of
That's not always going to be the case.
right.
Like,
So I mean,
let's
I get that, but in this case, I mean, after playing for 2 years and then having your finale, they are going to be the two best teams in the world, and they
every
are going to
World
be
Cup is played
fairly
after
even.
4 years, and then obviously it's
World Cups are played every 4 years. I mean,
4 years.
I get your.
Look at it this way. New Zealand and England had a brilliant World Cup final, and on that day they were evenly matched, right?
Right.
But if you look at the two sides, it's very clear England were the better team.
Yeah.
England had beaten New Zealand in all the ODI series, and they'd beaten them in the group stages too. But on that day, New Zealand were able to withstand the pressure a bit more, and England did not play their natural game like they did on the final day, and it ended up being a tied match on both ends.
Pressure got to them. Joe Root would never have played that shot in a 5-match ODI series. Never. Joe Root doesn't charge down the track to 120K bowler in the 30th over. That doesn't happen. And in the same way, right? Like this pressure that gets added in a one-off game where variance is so much higher, anything can happen. That's part of what makes these finals so amazing. I would say this test would not have been as exciting or as enthralling without something like a one-off match.
Yeah. And also take this factor.
Take
this factor. This is not the NBA, right? Like, so
that's exactly what I was gonna say.
You know, in NBA, right? Like, you don't have dead rubbers, right? They just stop the series. Imagine you have a 3-match series, a team wins 2-0. What's the third test match gonna be? Because
so that was exactly the point I was gonna make. In a best of 7 series, they just end up whoever wins at 4 games, right? In NBA,
right.
They should do the same thing for a 3-match series here. Just whoever wins 2 takes it. I think that if you're looking for entertainment, if it's a 1-1 series and you're going into the last test match, that is going to be the best test match you're going to watch ever.
No, right? that match just becomes a final. It then just becomes a one-off with 2 practice matches.
Then it's basically
I get that, but then but both teams have a better idea of what each like the other is going to bring, right? So they're both
and I would say that's not a good thing. I would say that the excitement comes from both teams also trying to figure out what the heck is going on in the other team's camp.
And ideally, in the World Test Championship, the 2 finalists would have already played each other in a 2-year period, a series home and away, anyways.
Right.
So.
Right. I mean, yeah, I can see both sides, but
I think I'm sticking with final. I think it should be 1 match only. I think what would have served India better and made this a little fair for them is if they had warm-up matches at least, because in New Zealand had the best preparation. They got to play the home side before the series, right? India should have had a couple of warm-up matches.
That was basically a warm-up match.
Yeah, true, but that would be more ideal. But I don't think they should be playing a 3-match series for a final. I like this concept. I just think you should be able to withstand pressure. I mean, if we had series to decide World Cups, I think South Africa would have won a couple World Cups by then. Might not have.
Right.
But now we have
on a broader scale, almost for the entire World Test tournament as a whole. I think having a more even field where every team or every country plays the equal amount of matches against other countries, and even more even spread, because now they're doing the percentages and weird stuff like India played 17 matches, New Zealand played 11.
The percentages will go away. That only became a factor because of COVID.
Right. So I mean, that would solve a lot of issues. But.
Yeah, ideally yes, but the thing is, some teams just cannot do 5-match series. Because of money issues. There's other issues. India can't play Pakistan because they can't tour each other. Like,
right.
It's just cricket. It's not another other sports. It's not. They just can't do it like that. It's just there's no other sport that does like international series like that the last 2 years, right? Like it's usually club sports that are able to operate like that, but it's very difficult to do that with cricket. But ideally we'd love to see at least as much of it possible to at least get the fairest idea. But I think we can fairly agree that these 2 teams are the best 2 test teams in the world. Very clearly.
I would say so. Yeah.
I do think like New Zealand will still struggle when they go to India later this year. I don't think they'll be.
But that's in India though, so it's.
And I don't think this New Zealand team will beat Australia because of a mental block they have. But otherwise, I think they would win anywhere in the world.
I think also sort of going back, do you think England was the best venue for this? Would Australia have been better? Yeah, that's sort of the two places that I think would be best for test match. But yeah, do you think England or Australia, which one's better?
Ideally, Lords is always going to be the most ideal venue. They just moved to Southampton because of COVID issues.
Right.
I think Lords the home of cricket. If I had to pick a venue other than Lords, it would be MCG because of the 96,000 capacity crowd. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think England's fine. It's just a little unlucky with the weather, but we still got a completed match that did not, and the rain did not affect either team vastly, to be honest.
Yeah, you can say that. All right, so I think right now we're going to be making a World Test Championship, World 11. So all of the teams over the past 2 years, all of the players, and just decide what the best 11 is. And yeah, we'll sort of just cover that, have our own takes. Sort of pretty straightforward, but yeah, let us know in the comments as well what you guys have. If you have any, I know Preston, you may comment with like Rahane and Saha and all that. Same thing, same old. But yeah, all right, we can get started with that.
Yeah, I made one, and I'm not gonna lie, I did not go completely on I didn't follow our rules completely. Like I have one player batting out of position. So
okay.
Well, let's try to stick to the rules as much as we can. So I think for openers, I would probably go with Rohit Sharma as one of them.
Yeah, I got Rohit in there. He has the highest average. I did not have Warner, not even close. Warner just has Pakistan series. That's it.
The Pakistan, exactly. But I mean,
I have. So if you look at their run scores, Dimuth Karunatne averages 55 in the World Test Championship, and he has like 400s. I have him.
Okay, Lakshya, anything?
I would probably go with Dimuth as the other opener. I would go with Dimuth and Rohit. I think Dimuth averaged what, 50 odd in this cycle?
55, yeah.
55, yeah. I would go with Dimuth and Rohit. I think Warner was thoroughly overrated. He had one amazing series and a whole bunch of mediocre performances. I would say Dimuth and Rohit at 1 and 2. At 3, I think our choice is all going to be the same. Marnus Labuschagne.
No, I got Kane Williamson because I have Marnus playing out of position.
Really?
But I can afford to have Marnus playing out of position because he played at 4 in the Ashes in a couple matches.
Oh, so you're having Williamson and then
I have Williamson and Marnus. Yeah, Marnus at 4.
Okay. What's Kohli on the rankings for runs?
Kohli doesn't have a century in this. Kohli has 1 century in this World Test Championship. I don't have.
Also true.
I don't think you can put Virat in here. He has, I think, 2 centuries, but yeah.
Actually, Rahane
double against South Africa. Rahane actually has more runs and more centuries than Virat does, and Rahane is not making it into our all-time 11 in the World Test Championship. But let's keep going. So, I think I can go with Kane Williamson. Kane Williamson at 3 is fine with me.
Marnus at 4.
Hey, okay, put their proper names. Put their proper names.
No. Yeah, put their proper names, bro. Okay. Wait, so I had Smith at 5, but I guess that's cheating, right?
You gotta help me with the spelling.
Smith is 4. Smith is 4.
Smith. Okay.
Yeah.
So
and Marnus is batted in the Ashes at 5, so we can put him there.
No, he batted at 3 and 4.
He came in at 5 one game, didn't he?
No. Concussion replacement for Smith. He was 4. Then 4 for the next match because Smith was still gone. When Smith came back, he replaced Quadra at 3.
Well, we can put him at 5. That's all right. But yeah, Smith goes at 4.
And then I guess for 6, I put my wicketkeeper at 6. There is no wicketkeeper who set this World Championship final. World Test Championship up on fire. I'm not gonna lie. It was very difficult to pick. But
I think mine would probably be either Joss Butler or Quinton de Kock.
Mine's Quinton de Kock. Butler missed too many matches for me to pick him.
I think de Kock probably takes it. He's just a better keeper.
Yeah, I picked de Kock. Pant was there too, but he hasn't played because he didn't play at the start, so he's missed a few matches. Butler's missed matches.
That's another thing. Pant's keeping was beautiful. The stumping, I know
he's missed.
No. I'm not saying to be in this 11. I'm just saying for this match, and the improvement. Like we know he's
Oh
improved a
yeah,
lot, but he just
his
proved it
keeping has
even
come
more.
on leaps and bounds. He's been a lot fitter, and since then he's been a lot better. I would
Exactly.
say though, I think we should have a conversation about Ben Stokes because he's too good to leave out of this 11.
Okay, so that was my next point. So the thing is, I have 3 fast bowlers and 1 spinner in my bottom 4. So I went with the spinning all rounder. Otherwise, so Stokes is my 12th man because I don't need 4 pacers. So I have Jadeja at 7.
I get it, but Stokes is the 4th leading run scorer in the World Test Championship. He averages 46.
Jadeja averages 50.
That's correct, but Stokes also played on tougher wickets.
Jadeja played on spinning wickets in India, and he scored runs in in Australia as well.
Stokes scored runs in India too. I think,
And that's cool. Jadeja is a better bowler. Jadeja is a way more crucial bowler for India than Stokes is.
I don't see why we can't pick both. That's the thing.
I had both, but then I didn't have space for a wicketkeeper.
Okay, so wait, let's just list them out and I'll show you. So number 7, what do you have? Jadeja at 7?
Yeah, I have Jadeja at 7. Yeah,
I did too.
and then I have Jameson at 8. Like that was the easiest pick for me. One of the easiest picks was Jameson at 8.
Jameson at 8. It's a stretch because he's only played 7 matches.
I think he's done too much in the matches. I think I put him in after the final. I won't lie, but I had to put him in. But
so I had Cummins at 9.
yeah, I have Cummins at 9. Cummins is my MVP of the World Test Championship.
Yeah, I had Cummins at 9. I had Saudi at 10.
Okay, I have Saudi at 11, but yeah.
Yeah,
What is he at? Like 58 wickets?
56, I think.
56. Okay. Oh, he got 5.
Yeah. So and then the leading wicket taker is Ashwin. So I have Ashwin at 10. So
yeah, so
I think you can see why I would pick JJ over Stokes because it's just
so on yours, I actually swapped out Jamieson and Stokes.
so Stokes is your 3rd seamer.
Yes, Stokes is my 3rd seamer. I had Cummins, Saudi, and Stokes, and then I had Ashwin and Jadeja.
Nah, I think that's too bowling light. I feel it's too bowling light.
I think Stokes is good enough as a 3rd bowler, and I think that the quality of the others is just too high.
I wanted to. Okay, the thing is, I don't always look to make like the best. I'm not looking to make a team that's gonna win. I'm looking to make a team that where the 11 players deserve to be in the World 11.
I don't think you can make an argument that Ben Stokes doesn't deserve to be in the 11 is the thing.
I don't think, but the thing is,
he averaged 26 with the ball, 46 with a bat.
To be fair, I think personally Williamson doesn't make it, and you move Labu here and Smith.
Yeah,
and then you have that space.
Honestly, we could have just. I honestly think if we want to make it fair, we could just have Stokes at 5 and then debate Williamson versus Labuschagne.
I think that's fair.
That's probably a fair way to do this.
Honestly. I think that's fair.
Let's just do that because Stokes I think we're cheating by having Williamson and Labuschagne. So put Williamson / Labuschagne, put Stokes at 5. Also switch Ashwin and Saudi. Like, come on.
Sorry, yeah.
I mean, I think Ashwin's better than Cummins to a test. So.
I think Cummins actually would be a chance for 11 here. As in terms of batsmen, he's probably the least impressive of them.
Okay, so now let's debate Williamson versus Labuschagne. I think this is fair. Okay, I guess.
Yeah, okay. I think this is a very fair lineup.
I got Stokes and Jadeja into the team. I thought that wouldn't be possible. Okay, so between Williamson and Labuschagne, I think Labuschagne is first. Williamson is in the top 5.
Williamson played less. Williamson played slightly less matches. He had 7 less innings. Labuschagne, though, he averages 73. It's really tough to leave him out. You know, as much as I like Kane Williamson, I think I would end up actually going with Labuschagne as my number 3, and I'd have Demuth as my captain.
I think because of Labuschagne and the Ashes too, I don't know if Williamson in this period has that overseas performance other than the final. Because he failed in Australia, so he lost his matches at home. I think Labuschagne would have to be 3 then.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Though I think Kane deserves it more than no. The Ashes were part of the thing, so Smith should be 4. So yeah,
Williamson can be the first 12th man captain. We can do it that way.
No. We have to pick a captain. Yeah. De Kock is definitely not the captain.
I would say it's Demuth for me.
I guess it has to be Demuth. That's so weird. a Sri Lankan. I don't even think they won like any test matches in this thing. But yeah,
No, but I mean,
he's the only captain in this team.
Cummins
he's not a
VC.
bad captain.
Yeah, yeah. I think this is a good team. I
This
think
is a good team.
And who's your MVP of the entire championship?
For me, the MVP is probably Pat Cummins.
Same. I think Pat Cummins is the best bowler in every series he played in this.
Yeah.
So
I could see arguments for Ashwin. I could see arguments for even Ben Stokes, but I think it's got to be Pat Cummins.
yeah, I think Ashwin. I think there's a reason I didn't have it. I don't think I have an MVP. I think he missed more matches than Cummins.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why.
Well, anyways, that's
the 12th man Kane.
12th man is
Sure.
Williamson. Yeah.
Kane. Okay. Any pace bowler backup? We missed.
I think it's just you should just do 11 and a 12th.
Okay. I think Hazelwood and Broad is Broad. That's the one who I think was my 12th man actually, because he's up. He was in the top 3 wicket takers. So I think that's a big omission. But yeah, I think this is
Solid team.
This is a solid team. I think the biggest shock here is we didn't even talk about Kohli, Root being there, because that just shows that they weren't actually that effective in this final compared to some of these other players. Like some of these players,
Root averaged 48 in the Test Championship. He was quite good. Virat, I mean,
45, I think.
Yeah, he's not bad.
That's like 7 below his average. Like if you look at I'm looking at our one of our first podcasts was like the World 11, right? We would not have had Rohit. We wouldn't have Karunatne. We wouldn't have had Jameson or Saudi. I think those are.
We had Warner, right, instead of Dimmoth at the beginning.
It was Warner, Latham/Elgar, then Kane, Smith, Stokes. Hickok was our wicketkeeper. Then our bowlers, it was just like a combo of like Wagner, Cummins, Bumrah, Jimmy Anderson, and then spin we were all like Ashwin, and then I think Jadeja was like some of us had him, some didn't. Yeah. Some had Lyon, so yeah. But yeah, I think otherwise like 5-6 of these guys will be in the World 11 for sure.
Definitely. Sweet. All right. Yeah. So let us know if you guys agree with that. I have a feeling it'll be like a unanimous agreement. I think it was pretty easy for us to make it as well. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. That's summation of 2 years all coming into that finale. Beautiful match to watch. Hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. And yeah, I think next podcast we'll probably be covering the England series. Or
we have a lot of podcasts planned. Like
so just keep up.
Random topics. We have no interest in covering the English Sri Lanka series. It's a straight snooze fest. So we will probably be covering some random topics hopefully in the next few periods.
All right.
So yeah, thank you.
Thanks everyone.